Hey, what's up? What's up, YouTube? I'm here today to talk about the flat Earth conspiracy or the theory, flat Earth theory. Um, I've got some some plans here, some footnotes, whatever. I wanted to discuss. I guess the biggest thing, man, is um, once I started looking into this shit, I realized that this wasn't some new idea. Like every fucking every fucking culture, every ancient culture believed that you know the Earth was flat. So the idea that the Earth is flat is not new. It's actually the idea that it's round is new. This It's been around about I think the first asshole that fucking suggested that the Earth was round was a Greek philosopher. I can't think of his fucking name, but it was about 2,500 years ago, and nobody really fucking bought into it at that time. About 2,000 years later, um, Copernicus suggested that the Earth was round, and he brought forth his findings or whatever. Copernicus was a known um, Freemason, which hey, Freemasons have been around. It's one of the oldest secret societies in existence, and I know Freemasons, and I've actually I actually probably have an in Freemasonry if I wanted to like try to join the organization, but I have my reservations because if I were to like join this secret society and they all, then I find out that all my conspiracy theories are actually true, then I wouldn't actually be able to tell you because they're secret societies. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I kind of like the idea that fucking there is a whole conspiracy behind it, and it's hidden from the public, yada yada. But I want to start by saying that yes, all ancient cultures believe the Earth was flat for good reason because that's how it appears. You can look and see that there's no motion. The Earth's not moving. We can't measure it. They've never successfully measured any kind of Earth's rotation. No matter what you've fucking been told in school and whatever, it's never been fucking proven. The next big thing and I want to say this too. To buy into the flat Earth theory, you have to buy into the fact that all world governments are fucking lying to you. It's hard for a lot of people to grasp. They just can't accept that governments would lie. Why would they do such a thing? My advice is to read the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene if you want to understand why governments would lie. And so yeah, once you buy into that it's possible that your government has lied about the moon landing, about what the shape of the Earth is actually like, um, um, whatever. If you can fucking like set aside your fucking cognitive dissonance, right? If you can set aside your preconceived notions of this idea, this theory, for a minute, and just hear me out. And just imagine that maybe this shit isn't completely fucking crazy. um, and hear me out, then if nothing else, you know, you can just have an interesting conversation to have with your buddies or whatever. So anyway, I want to start off with flat Earth. Um, I want to show a map. I'm going to say here. I got to go back and edit this video, so I'm going to try to put the image here, or maybe here. I'm going to show you a what flat Earth theorists or whatever believe is the actual, you know, how they actually perceive the Earth to be. You know, so I'm going to show you a flat Earth image here, and you can see for yourself that it's not completely ridiculous, right? And here's, you know, in the image you can see the sun and the moon. You can see their patterns, and you can see the sun and the moon are about the same size. I mean, as they appear, you know, when you look at them. So this flat Earth shit is not like completely insane. It's honestly mostly common sense. If you really think about it, you'll see that all the bullshit that you've been led to believe with science and all this other crap is that what you see with your own two eyes and what you feel with your own body and shit is a lie. They want to tell you that your senses are not accurate. So but if you actually look at the sun and the moon, they look about the same size. And so I'm, you know, going to show it. This image here is of the actual sun and moon rotations and shit, and how you can see how they're about the same size. Another interesting map, which you'll see shortly here, is the map that pilots use. Pilots use to traverse the globe. The globe, right? This is the map that pilots use to traverse intercontinental fucking whatever, man. And as you can see, this map that pilots use looks almost identical to a flat Earth map. It's interesting. This is another thing that got me real fucking interested in this subject is that pilots use a flat Earth map to traverse the Earth, right? Which is interesting for a lot of reasons. The main one being that pilots don't take into consideration Earth's curvature, or Earth's supposed curvature. They don't do it. You know, they don't have to dip their nose down every so many hundred, you know, miles or whatever because of Earth's curvature. Which is strange, right? So if the Earth was a globe, the plane would constantly be dipping down, having to dip his nose down to like fly around the fucking globe, the ball Earth. They don't do that, and they actually use a flat Earth map, which I found interesting. Maybe you will too. Last but not least, I want to show you a picture of a UN map. Not a map, the United Nations flag. It's flat Earth map. The United Nations, you know, actually uses a flat Earth map as their logo on their flag. And as you can see, it's a picture from the North Pole out, right? It shows the world from the North Pole out. It doesn't show Antarctica, right? It just shows the top down, which is flat Earth theorists suggest all along. There is no Antarctica. There is no South Pole. I guess one of the big criticisms flat Earth people get is where's the edge, yada yada. You know, they can't picture the Earth in their head being anything but floating in space because that's what they've been taught since they were little children in school and stuff like that. And the organization's been ridiculed as nonsense or whatever, man. But if you really pay attention to the ridicule and stuff, you'll see that it's come from people that have been sort of indoctrinated into a belief system. Now, I mean, we can get into that later. The focus of this video is whether or not the flat Earth theory is completely fucking, ludicrous. And the examples I'm showing you here is hopefully to kind of show you that the theory itself is not ludicrous. It's worth looking into, just because of all the coincidences that we see with major government organizations, with pilots flying planes, the United Nations flag, and so it's really the purpose of this video is just to kind of show the correlations and the fact that Antarctica doesn't show up in the United Nations flag. It doesn't show up in the flat Earth maps. It doesn't show up in pilots' maps. There's no flight paths that go over Antarctica. And if you ask anybody, they'll say, well, it's too cold or whatever, But I mean, that's, come on, man. Antarctica is a very mysterious place. Nobody wants to talk about. It's easy to see how Antarctica is faked. If you look at a flat Earth map, the North Pole's in the center, right? So you can really traverse the globe, and your compass is always going to point north. So anywhere you go south, you're going to hit the Antarctic 200-foot ice wall, and you can Google pictures of this shit. I mean, you could Google pictures of Antarctica and see that you can't enter the continent, and not to mention this United Nations treaty, where you can't even go to Antarctica on a private, expedition. You got to be escorted by military and stuff like that. It's raising some flags. But the fact is, if you look at the flat Earth map, if you look at the United Nations flag or pilot's map or whatever, you'll see Antarctica is not actually a continent at the bottom of the ball Earth. It's a 200-foot ice wall that surrounds Earth, our part of the Earth, and holds the water in and whatnot. And I think what a lot of people get frustrated with, that they want to know where the edge is, because they can't picture the Earth not being in space. And my thing is, if you can just imagine that the Earth is the floor of the universe for a minute, okay, and that we're not floating in space, we are literally the bottom of the universe. We're the bottom, we're the Earth, we're flat, and Antarctica surrounds us, our section, and imagine that ice goes out in infinite direction, in every direction, like space, like they want to tell you space does, right? They want you to believe that our ball Earth, that we're fucking spinning, a million miles an hour, whatever, through space. They want you to believe that, right? That we're insignificant fucking just creatures, asshole, accident, or whatever. And we're fucking shooting through space 10 million miles fucking per hour or whatever. Sure. Maybe that's reasonable. Maybe that's realistic. Maybe that's, maybe that's the case. I don't know. But to really conceptualize what people that think the Earth is flat believe, you got to understand that we don't believe we're a flat, spinning plate floating in space. Because then you're taking that whole ideology with the concept that the Earth is flat. That's not what anybody that believes the Earth is flat is saying. Most people that believe the earth is flat believe that the earth is the literal floor of the universe. That the earth goes in infinite direction, in every direction, right? And space is some unknown fucking like just parallel. But I mean, honestly though, I'm gonna try to incorporate some photos here that show the stars like some that have been slowed down with some kind of camera or whatever that show the stars revolving around us. That show the sun revolving around the Earth. You know, they're trying to teach us in science and shit that we're revolving around the sun and all, and that's just not like there's no evidence to fucking really support that. You know, it's like if any kind of like video or camera evidence show that the stars are revolving around us. You know, we're stationary. We're not moving. And so, you know, um, the idea is not crazy. Just hear the idea out. Hear the theory out. It's like just listen to it, man. Research the shit for yourself because I have dickheads all the time tell me, "Well, I could tell the Earth is moving just from sheer physics," and I'm just like, "Oh, okay, how?" And they can't give me a real answer. It's like you can't tell the fucking Earth is moving from anything, any kind of fucking, you know what I mean? Any kind of experiment they've ever tried, ever in the history of our existence, has failed to show any kind of movement of the Earth. So, I don't know. I was one of those motherfuckers though that just was completely against anybody that thought this bullshit because I was like, you got to be a dumbass. You got to be stupid to think that, right? Because we've been taught our whole lives that Earth is round and we landed on the moon and all that other shit. But you start looking into it for yourself. You start looking into some of these guys that have done real research on the subject. You almost got to be stupid to fucking believe the Earth is round.